It is the raw material of strength, the silent architect behind confidence, and the fuel that turns discipline from an idea into a lifestyle. When life hits you hard, it's not trying to destroy you. It's removing the softer parts of you that hold you back. Pain strips away excuses, distractions, and illusions, leaving you face to face with your real self. And this confrontation is where warriors are born. Think about every moment in your life where you felt powerless or defeated. You survived those moments, but surviving is not the same as transforming. Pain becomes powerful only when you stop resisting it and start using it. The man who avoids challenge remains the same weak version of himself year after year, but the man who accepts pain as a teacher evolves into a version of himself that others can't even recognize. Hardship forces you to dig deeper than comfort ever will. It forces you to uncover strengths you didn't know you had. It forces you to build resilience, because resilience isn't built in peaceful days. It's forged in the fire of adversity. A warrior is not a man who feels no pain. He's a man who refuses to be controlled by it. He's the one who takes the hits, learns the lesson, stands up again, and moves forward with even greater intention. Warriors are not shaped by victories. They're shaped by battles. Every scar is a reminder of a moment where they chose to continue instead of collapse. Every setback is a lesson in strategy. Every disappointment reshapes their expectations. Pain becomes part of their identity, but not in a negative way. It becomes their edge because they've seen the worst of themselves and kept going. When a man proves to himself that he can survive hardship, he becomes dangerous in the best way. Dangerous to excuses, to mediocrity, to doubt, to fear. Pain forces you to create discipline, because undisciplined men seek escape while disciplined men seek evolution. Pain will always test you at the exact point you want to break, and this is where the transformation happens. The choice between quitting and continuing defines the entire direction of your life. If you quit when it hurts, you teach yourself to retreat. If you continue when it hurts, you teach yourself to rise. This is how warriors are built. Not through privilege, not through luck, but through the consistent decision to endure. Pain becomes their compass. Instead of running from the difficult path, they walk straight into it, knowing that every step forward is reshaping their character in ways comfort never could. Comfort is the silent enemy that destroys more men than failure ever will, because comfort convinces you that staying the same is good enough. It whispers that you've done enough, that you've earned rest, that you deserve ease. And before you even realize what's happening, your ambition begins to weaken. Comfort dulls your instincts, numbs your potential, and blinds you to the opportunities waiting outside your safe little bubble. Real growth does not happen in moments of ease. It happens when you willingly place yourself in situations that stretch your limits. A man who remains comfortable never discovers how powerful he can be, because he never pushes himself to the edges of his ability. Growth demands pressure, struggle, and sacrifice. Every skill you have, every strength you respect in yourself, every piece of confidence you carry, none of it came from easy days. It came from the days that challenged you, exhausted you, and forced you to face parts of yourself you tried to avoid. Comfort creates illusion. It tricks you into believing that time is on your side, that chances will always come, that you can wait until tomorrow to start becoming the man you imagine. But there is no growth in waiting. Tomorrow is the shield of the weak. The man who wants to become exceptional understands that stepping into discomfort is not optional, it is necessary. He knows that greatness is built in small, painful repetitions, waking up earlier than you want to, working when you're tired, doing the tasks you hate but know you need, choosing discipline even when motivation dies. Pain becomes a compass, because the path that scares you or challenges you the most is usually the path that will transform you the fastest. Comfort makes you soft. It weakens your resilience and kills your hunger. It convinces you that the goal is to feel good instead of becoming great. But every man who has ever achieved anything worthwhile had to make a brutal choice: abandon comfort or abandon potential. You can't have both. A comfortable man might feel safe, but he never feels alive, because deep down he knows he abandoned the battle he was meant to fight. A man in pursuit of growth feels alive because he knows every day he is improving, even if the process is painful. When you step outside your comfort zone, you confront the truth about yourself. You see your flaws, your fears, your weaknesses, and instead of avoiding them, you attack them. This confrontation builds power. You begin to trust yourself because you see yourself winning small battles daily. You begin to carry yourself differently because confidence comes from evidence. Evidence that you can do hard things. Evidence that you can stay disciplined. Evidence that you can handle pressure. Growth becomes addictive because you realize that every new challenge unlocks a stronger version of you. The discomfort you once feared becomes the fuel you rely on. You stop avoiding difficulty and start chasing it because you understand that the man you want to become is waiting on the other side of everything you are scared to do. A man becomes a warrior the moment he stops avoiding his battles and starts confronting them with intention. Avoidance is the habit that destroys potential because every problem you ignore grows stronger while you grow weaker. The modern man hides behind distractions, endless scrolling, meaningless entertainment, temporary escapes, hoping that his problems will somehow resolve themselves. But real problems don't disappear. They wait, and every day you delay facing them, they drain more of your power, confidence, and identity. A warrior understands that confrontation is not aggression. It is responsibility. It is the realization that every challenge in your life is connected to your evolution. When you walk toward the things that frighten you, you reclaim your power. When you run from them, you hand that power away piece by piece. The difference between an ordinary man and a warrior is not physical strength or talent. It is willingness. Willingness to step into uncertainty, willingness to accept discomfort, willingness to take action before you feel ready. Warriors are defined by what they face, not what they avoid. Every meaningful victory in your life will require you to confront something difficult. Fear, failure, insecurity, doubt, criticism. These forces don't go away. They are part of the journey. But a warrior does not wait for the fear to fade. He moves forward with the fear still in his chest. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else matters more. Confronting your battles builds self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of a man's power. When you show yourself that you can handle difficult situations, you begin to trust yourself. You stop needing validation because your confidence is rooted in action, not approval. Every confrontation becomes a brick in the fortress of your character. You start becoming the man others look at and think, he doesn't run. He doesn't fold. He doesn't hide. That reputation doesn't come from luck. It comes from repeatedly choosing the harder path. It comes from meeting challenges head on, even when the outcome is uncertain. The truth is that most men fear confrontation, not because of the challenge itself, but because of what the challenge reveals. When you confront your battles, you see who you truly are without excuses. You see your strengths, but you also see your weaknesses. And that honesty can be uncomfortable. But this honesty is also liberating because once you know your weaknesses, you can attack them. Once you know your fears, you can strip them of their power. A man who knows himself is dangerous because nothing inside him is hidden. Nothing controls him without his awareness. He becomes intentional, strategic, and calm under pressure because he understands himself deeply. Every warrior is built through endless cycles of confrontation. You confront laziness by taking action. You confront fear by stepping forward. You confront failure by trying again. You confront doubt by proving yourself wrong through discipline. The battle is not outside, it is within. And once a man masters the battles inside himself, the world outside becomes easier to conquer. Emotional control is the invisible advantage that separates a man destined for greatness from a man ruled by temporary feelings. Most men don't realize that their biggest enemy is not the world. It's their own reactions. One moment of anger, one moment of panic, one moment of doubt can destroy opportunities that took years to build. Feelings are real, but they are also temporary, and the man who lets temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions will always live in chaos. Emotional control does not mean ignoring your feelings. It means mastering them. It means understanding that emotions are signals, not commands. They can inform you, but they should never be allowed to rule you. A man who reacts impulsively is predictable, manipulatable, and weak. A man who responds with discipline is powerful. In everyday life, emotional control is the difference between staying focused on your mission or getting dragged into distractions. It's the difference between keeping your principles or breaking them when pressure hits. A warrior knows that controlling his emotions gives him a strategic edge in every area of life: relationships, business, discipline, leadership, self-respect. He doesn't allow insults to throw him off. He doesn't let fear dictate his decisions. He doesn't let frustration make him quit. He doesn't let insecurity stop him from trying. He moves with calm intensity, not because life is easy, but because he refuses to allow external forces to control his internal world. Emotional control creates clarity. When you are calm, you think better, you plan better, and you execute better. You can see what other people miss because their minds are clouded by panic or anger. A calm man is not a soft man. He is a dangerous man because his decisions are precise. Think about the strongest men in history, the leaders who shaped nations, the warriors who remained unshaken in chaos. They weren't the ones who screamed the loudest. They were the ones who remained centered when everything around them fell apart. Their power came from the discipline of staying composed under pressure. But emotional control is not something you are born with. It is something you build. You build it by putting yourself in situations that test you. You build it by facing discomfort instead of running from it. You build it by refusing to let your mood decide your actions. When you train yourself to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel, your emotions start to respect you. They stop turning into storms and start becoming tools. Anger becomes fuel. Fear becomes awareness. Sadness becomes reflection. Stress becomes focus. A man who can shape his emotions instead of being shaped by them holds a power most people never experience. In a world full of men who react impulsively, who lash out, who crumble under pressure, emotional control becomes a form of armor. It protects your mind, your dreams, your relationships, and your future. It gives you the ability to stay on your path without being blown off course by temporary feelings or external chaos. Every setback you face in life contains an opportunity hidden beneath the frustration, the disappointment, and the feeling of failure. Most men only see the surface. They see what went wrong, what didn't work, what hurt them, what embarrassed them. They focus on the loss instead of the lesson. But a warrior thinks differently. A warrior understands that setbacks are not roadblocks. They are redirections. They are moments designed to test your commitment, reshape your strategies, and push you into a version of yourself you would never reach through ease or success alone. A setback is feedback from life, telling you where you need to evolve, where you need to sharpen your skills, where you need to strengthen your discipline. The moment you stop viewing setbacks as endings and start viewing them as beginnings, everything about your journey changes. A setback is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're in motion. Only men who are moving, growing, and striving face setbacks. A man who never tries anything meaningful will never fail, but he will also never grow. You cannot expect to transform into a stronger, wiser, more powerful version of yourself if you never experience the friction that forces transformation. Setbacks create pressure, and pressure reveals your character. They expose the cracks in your mindset, the weaknesses in your habits, and the limits of your comfort zone. And once something is exposed, it can be improved. This is the gift hidden inside the pain. When you experience a setback, you are given a chance to reinvent yourself. You can let the moment break you, or you can let it rebuild you. Reinvention is not something that happens overnight. It happens through the decision to refuse defeat. It happens through the willingness to try again with greater strength and smarter strategy. Every successful man in history used setbacks as fuel. They didn't see rejection as rejection. They saw it as redirection. They understood that the journey is not supposed to be smooth. The journey is supposed to challenge you so intensely that you become unrecognizable to your former self. Reinvention is a process that demands resilience, and resilience is built only through experience with struggle. Setbacks also teach humility, which is one of the most underrated strengths a man can possess. When everything is going well, it's easy to feel invincible. It's easy to believe you have everything figured out. But setbacks remind you that you still have room to grow, room to adapt, room to become better. This humility doesn't weaken you. It grounds you. It keeps you hungry, disciplined, and aware. It keeps you learning instead of stagnating. A man who remains humble in defeat becomes wise in victory. The greatest advantage of setbacks is that they force you to rethink your limitations. When something doesn't work out, you start to ask better questions. What can I change? How can I improve? What can I learn from this? This shift in perspective is where reinvention truly begins. You stop repeating the same mistakes and start building better systems, stronger habits, clearer goals. You begin to operate with intention instead of emotion. You begin to move with precision instead of desperation. Setbacks stop being obstacles and start becoming stepping stones in the path toward becoming a warrior who grows stronger every time life tests him. Consistency during hard times is the force that separates the men who talk about success from the men who actually achieve it. Anyone can move forward when life feels easy, when motivation is high, when everything flows smoothly. But that version of consistency is worthless because it requires no strength. True consistency is built in the moments when you feel exhausted, discouraged, overwhelmed, or uncertain. It is built when the results are slow, when progress feels invisible, when no one is watching and no one is applauding. A warrior becomes unstoppable not because he is the strongest or the smartest, but because he continues to move forward, even when it feels like nothing is working. He understands that consistency transforms effort into destiny. Hard times are unavoidable. Life will test you with setbacks, stress, criticism, failure, and doubt. Most men crumble because they expect progress to be smooth. They think discipline should always feel good or that success should come quickly. But the truth is that the hardest periods of your life are the ones that build the deepest foundations. Every rep you complete when you don't want to, every task you finish when you're tired, every promise you keep to yourself when your emotions are against you, those are the moments that shape your identity. Consistency is not about perfection, it's about refusal. Refusal to quit. Refusal to drift backward. Refusal to let feelings sabotage your mission. Consistency creates momentum, and momentum is a force far more powerful than motivation. Motivation fades, but momentum compounds. Once you start taking small actions daily, your results begin to stack. Even when progress seems small, consistency turns every action into an investment. It creates a psychological shift where your brain begins to trust you. Your self-belief grows because you have evidence. Evidence of discipline, evidence of persistence, evidence that you are the kind of man who follows through. And when a man trusts himself, he becomes impossible to stop. The hardest part of maintaining consistency in difficult times is battling the emotional resistance. On the days when everything inside you is screaming to take a break or walk away, you must learn to separate your identity from your feelings. Feelings fluctuate. Your mission shouldn't. A warrior shows up regardless of mood. He shows up regardless of doubt. He shows up regardless of whether success feels near or far. He shows up because consistency is the only path to transformation. It is the discipline of choosing what matters most over what feels good in the moment. Consistency is also a form of self-respect. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you reinforce your belief that you are reliable. Every time you break your word, you weaken your identity. This is why consistency in hard times is so powerful. It becomes proof that you are built differently. While other men fold under pressure, you stay the course. While they slow down, you maintain pace. While they chase comfort, you pursue purpose. Over time, this separates you from the average and elevates you into the realm of the relentless. Consistency turns storms into strength and obstacles into opportunities, shaping you into a warrior who cannot be defeated by circumstance because you have mastered the art of showing up no matter what. Pain is not the enemy, it is the architect shaping you into the man you were meant to become. Every challenge you faced, every moment of doubt, every setback that tried to break you was actually pushing you toward your true potential. Warriors are forged, not found. They are built through suffering, sharpened through discipline, and elevated through relentless consistency. The world does not reward men who hide from their battles. It rewards the ones who rise, the ones who endure, the ones who look pain in the eye and take another step forward anyway. You were not born to be average. You were born to evolve, to harden, to grow, to lead, and to dominate your circumstances instead of being dominated by them. Let the pain shape you. Let the pressure refine you. Let the struggle strengthen you. And let every moment of hardship remind you that you are on the path not just to becoming a better man, but to becoming a warrior in a world full of quitters.